Hello, lords and ladies. Today we're going to talk about Protestantism in England and how the Protestant religion is going to sweep that country and lead to the birth of a new church. The objectives that we're going to look at today are explaining the role of both Elizabeth I and Henry VIII in terms of the English Reformation. We're also going to look at the time period in which Mary I is going to rule in England. Mary I of England, don't confuse her with Mary, the Queen of the Scots, because they are very different. One is Elizabeth I's half-sister, and the other is her cousin. So Mary I that we're talking about is her half-sister. And Elizabeth I and Mary I are both Henry VIII's daughters. They come to rule after his death. Also, their brother, Edward VI, ruled too. So all three of Henry's children are going to rule England for some time. England is going to split from the Roman Catholic Church, and it's largely because of the love life of Henry VIII. He wanted to annul his marriage. Henry VIII was married to Catherine of Aragon, and they were actually married for 23 years, but she failed to produce a healthy male heir. She produced several children, but two of them died shortly after birth, two of them were stillborn, and then the last child to arrive alive was Mary I. And he just desperately wanted a male heir, so he wanted to annul his marriage to her so that he could marry Anne Boleyn. And Pope absolutely refused to do that, and understandably so. They had been married for 23 years. When you annul a marriage, it says that it never happened, and that seems to be something that the Pope was not comfortable with doing. So what Henry ends up doing in order to be able to marry his next wife is he gets the Parliament to declare England no longer under papal authority, so that England is no longer tied to the Catholic Church. He starts his own church called the Church of England, and today we call it the Anglican Church. That is going to split from the Catholic Church of Rome. So there's Henry VIII, very, very intent on having a male heir to take over the throne. Henry VIII, as you know, had 6 wives, 2 of whom he had beheaded, 2 of whom he annulled his marriage, and 1 of whom actually survives him. So, Henry VIII, after his death, his daughter Mary took over the throne, and she returned England to being a Catholic country. So this was something that, there were people still there who wanted to remain Catholic, and were very overjoyed when Mary did that. However, when Elizabeth I came to rule England, she goes back to the Church of England, to the Anglican Church, and steers England away from the Catholic Church yet again. But that's going to cause some upheaval, and you're going to see that Mary's going to have some problems. So, when you see Elizabeth getting the throne in 1558, she inherits it from her half-sister, Mary. She's the last of his children to rule, and she has a fierce temper. She has a very strong spirit, and so she is able to bring the country back to the Anglican Church. And now the Parliament declares her the head of the Anglican Church, and it's the only legal church in England at this time. So she wants to have a church that the Catholics and the Protestants can maybe both accept. So she lets them deliver their sermons in English. She lets, to make the Catholics happy, she lets the Church of England keep some of the things that you see in the Catholic service, like the rich robes and the groves and crucifixes. She has the Book of Common Prayer revised somewhat so that it's more acceptable to the Catholics in England. So Elizabeth I does a lot to bridge the gap between this religious split that seems to be hurting the country. Mary had done nothing but make it more difficult because she switched to Catholic only. But Elizabeth is much more willing to allow the Catholics to have their beliefs and make the Church of England more flexible to their beliefs. So that's what you guys would see. She's the one who's going to bring religious peace back to England. The problem is that the Spanish king, the Catholic Spanish king, plans to attack England. So he's going to send the Spanish Armada to her. And that's, something that sounded very upsetting, sounded that Elizabeth was going to have quite a fight on her hands, but she in fact doesn't have to worry because the Spanish Armada actually gets defeated quickly by the English because of the bad weather. And so Elizabeth is very triumphant in her reign. So this religious freedom and religious unity that she brings is also going to be coupled with a military victory over the Spanish. So she is having a very strong empire at this time. And that's how the English changed over to a different type of church. I hope you understand, and if you have any questions, write them down and bring them in tomorrow. And I'll see you then. Have a good night.